Hey guys, it's Brittany. So today's going to be a Q&A, and here are the questions that I got. So it's just going to be a quick Q&A, and I have to say I am, of course I've said this, but I am really glad that we are in the new year and things are just starting, but we have a lot to look forward to, and I do hope for the best for the rest of this year. So, here are the questions. It's not a lot, but I will answer these questions. One, what shows are you currently watching? Well, at the moment, I'm watching two shows. Like, I have to say, during the day and even towards the evening, like even around dinner, I'm usually watching Once Upon a Time. And in case if you haven't heard of it, you should look into it. But in case if that kind of show isn't your thing, then that's okay. But for those who do know it and who've seen it and like it, I love it too. It's also one of my favorite uh, fantasy fairy tale stories, which puts it in a whole different view of these stories that just come to life in that show. And so yeah, I watch it like during the evening, and like I said, even towards when I'm having dinner. And so yeah, I just love watching it. And of course, there are certain sad moments throughout the show. So yeah, I won't spoil anything. Like for those who want to watch it but haven't seen it yet, I'm not gonna spoil anything. But for those who have seen it, you know which sad parts I'm talking about. And another show I'm watching, and I watch this before bed. Um, but the show that I watch at night, at least before going to bed, and that's just Shoot Me. Um, it's it's a comedy show, and in case you have heard of it, like if you have or haven't, um, you can try to watch it and see if you like it. If you don't, that's okay. But for those who have seen it, you know that you've seen it and all that. But yeah, I remember I actually grew up watching it. Trying to think, how old was I think around the time I started to watch it, I think I was like around maybe 13, I believe. So yeah, I remember just when I started to watch it, I just find it funny. Like certain parts in there that I find funny and just made me laugh. And but yeah, it is a good show, and I just love watching it. It's actually one of my favorite shows, including Once Upon a Time. How's 2001 going for you? Um, so far it is going good. I have to say there are some days where it's like, okay, it's going good. But then there are some days where it's actually quite stressful. And then when I do feel stressed, I'm like, I don't know. I think you can say certain times when I do feel stressed, I just get upset, and then I just kind of feel like, okay, I don't know what to do, cause when I'm upset, there's like, it depends if I do want to talk about it or whether I don't. It just depends on the day. You know, it goes the same thing for everyone. Like, you don't always have to talk about what makes you upset or what stresses you out, because it's like if you do, then you might feel even more stressed, because I know I'm like that. I know there are certain things, if I do talk about it, like if there are some things that stress me out, if I talk about it, yeah, maybe if I talk about it a little bit, then I might feel better. But I don't always have to talk about those things that I feel stressed about, because then yeah, then I'll feel more stressed, and then I'll be like, okay, enough of this. I just want to do something to take my mind off of it, and I just rather talk about something else. To me, it's like I would rather talk about something that's positive rather than negative, because when it comes to talking about a very negative topic, or even if I were to talk about something that I'm not quite interested in, okay, for example, like politics, I'm not a political person, and so for anyone who would just go on about talking about politics, whether it's for hours or a whole day or every day, then I would not be interested, and I would be feeling like, okay, like, I think if I'm not interested in a certain topic that I don't like talking about, I won't remember a thing because I'm not really into certain things to talk about. But then there are certain things I do like to talk about, things that are positive and things that I like to talk about, like uh, music, movies, shows, and just, certain things like that. And with me, I can go on talking about movies because I love movies. I love everything about movies, like just everything, like how they put it together and the performances, the music, just everything. So yeah, I could go on talking about movies and all that. Yeah, so far, like I said, 2000, 2021, it has been going fine. I'd say right now it's going fine at least. But yeah, there are some days where it is stressful, but then there are some days where it's like, okay, it's going good, you know. What are your New Year resolutions? Well, as you may notice, as of last year, last year wasn't such a good year because each month of last year is like something was going on, and each one of them was just very like bad and stressful. And I have to say, because all of us were pretty like angry and stressed of last year and sad as well, I would have to say there were some days I did do videos of last year, but I didn't do many as much, not as much as I wanted to, and yeah, I just didn't, cause I don't know. I think I could say I was feeling so so angry of the situation about this, virus and all that. And not only was I angry about it, but I was feeling like so stressed that somehow that stress got to me. It got to me in a way where it would completely ruin my mood, and somehow I felt like, how can I do my videos when I'm, feeling so like, ugh. So, and believe me, I would never want to show like just how frustrated I am, because with me it's like I would rather show how I'm in a good mood, which right now I am, because I'm doing good. But yeah, so my New Year resolutions are that since I didn't get to do any videos as much of last year, because last year was like not so good for many reasons. So I have to say my New Year resolutions are to do more videos this year, and um, yeah, to do more videos this year, and yeah, that, and other things that I want to achieve, to accomplish this year. And I want to say, because I do plan on making more videos, I also want to do more movie reviews and popcorn chat videos, which are like movie discussion videos. So I want to do more of that, just because, like I said, I love movies. I'm a movie buff, I'm a movie lover, and I just love everything about movies. And now, of course, there are certain movies that I like. There are some that are just my favorite, and then of course there are just some movies that I don't like. But you know, that's okay, because we all have that. There's always something that we like, or maybe that we love, you know, more than like. But that doesn't mean that just because we love something doesn't mean we, and whatever it is that we like doesn't mean we like it less. It just means we just kind of favor something things more than others, but it doesn't mean that we don't like the rest, if you know what I mean. You know, that happens with everyone. We all have that. What movies do you want to see? Well, let's see. I do want to see the new Godzilla movie, or should I say both? King Kong. Like, okay, Godzilla versus Kong. Like, I really want to see that one. And I'm really confused about the release dates, because when I looked it up, it said March 31st. But then when I saw the trailer, it said, what was it? I think it said March 26th. And then when I saw the Japanese trailer of Godzilla vs. Kong, it said March 15th. So I'm thinking, okay, which date is it of the release? You know, in theaters and on HBO Max. Is it going to be March 15th? Is it March 26th? Or March 31st? Like, there are 3 different dates, and I don't know which one it is. But yes, I want to see that one, and I don't know what's going to happen in that movie. I don't know whether, if it's going to be where these two are just fighting, but one kills the other. I don't know if it's gonna turn out that way, or I don't know whether if somehow both Godzilla and King Kong, that they're gonna team up, and it's almost like somehow there no longer will be this fight between them, but they will just come together, team up, and something that's even more threatening than either of them, and then they would have to fight them to the death. So I don't know, I think I would like to see that, because even though I do like King Kong, I do, but I think I like Godzilla a bit more. Just because I do. Some may agree or may not agree with me, but that's okay. But like I said, I don't know what's gonna happen at the end of that movie. I don't know whether if one might kill the other, or if they might team up and they have to face maybe a horrible, you know, creature like them, but that's even more threatening. You know, more threatening than King Kong, more threatening than Godzilla. Like, I don't know. It just all depends. And I have to say, not only there are new certain movies that I'm looking forward to, but then there are certain other movies, even old ones that I even haven't seen, that I would want to see. But then again, the frustrating thing about that is that, let's say there's a movie I have in mind to watch, and let's say if it came out, let's say maybe in the early 2000s or the 80s or 90s, and then I'm like, oh yeah, like, I want to watch it, I want to see how this movie is, like, and then by the time I look it up, it says, oh, you have to, you know, pay for it, to rent it, and it's like, to me, it's like, really, come on, like, just make it for free, and then I could watch it for free. So yeah, that's all for the Q&A, and I want to share one more dream, if you don't mind. And this is very short too, so I won't stay too long. So I had this dream where I was at the theater, and it showed this trailer this trailer of a thriller movie, like of a remake of The Mask. Because, as if you may know or not know, that before The Mask was turned into a movie and was released in 1994, there were comic books of The Mask by, I think, by the Dark Horse comics, and the the comics on The Mask by Dark Horse is actually not a funny comic, comedy comic. Is more of a horror comic of The Mask, of the story, and because of that, um, I think with the writers who made The Mask, they didn't want to turn it into a horror movie, so of course, that they made it into a comedy movie. But to be honest, I'm glad it turned out that way because with Jim Carrey, like he was just so funny. He was so hilarious, with playing the character in that movie. Now, even though originally the comics were more like scary, like and gory, at the same time, when I think about that, it doesn't ruin my favorite movie just because the comic books were different. If you know what I mean, like it doesn't change my point of view on my favorite movie of The Mask just because the comic books were more graphic and gory. And so yeah, so that's why in this dream it showed this like very like a dark tone, like a thriller version, like of a remake of The Mask. But of course, Jim Carrey isn't in this one. It seemed like a whole different actor plays the role, and of course, it just has this dark tone to it, and I felt that. So, yeah, that was pretty much it. And I remember, I think when I was in a theater in the dream, I remember thinking like, gosh, like this is a remake of The Mask, like a thriller or some kind of horror movie in a way, but it has more of like a dark tone to it. And somehow I thought, oh gosh, like I don't know how this one's gonna be. But I even thought, like, you know what? Even if they were to do this one day, let's say 5 years from now, even 10 years from now, if they do happen to make a remake of a dark horror version of The Mask, but not with Jim Carrey in it, but let's say with someone else completely, who takes that role, but it's just very different and has the dark tone to it. If it were to come to that one day, maybe even years from now, I would go and see it to see how it is and all that. But believe me, even if I were to go see a movie like that, if they were to make a movie like that, it would not change anything. It would not ruin my favorite movie of the 1994 version. It would not ruin it for me. It wouldn't. Just like how, like with other movies that were based on, like, scary stories, like creepypastas, or even like this, scary fairy tale stories by the Grimm brothers. It's like, those stories don't ruin those Disney movies for me, because I love Disney too. So it's like, even like with Sleeping Beauty, Bambi, and these other Disney movies that were based on those stories that were dark and just like gloomy and just like dark, like it doesn't ruin my favorite movie, on those Disney movies. Yeah, it doesn't ruin it for me. Because to me, it's like, well, you know what? It doesn't, because even though this story is originally dark and very gloomy, but it's like, you know what? Since Disney changed it around and made it something where it's happy and more like where you feel happy and it's uplifting and it's very touching, and there's songs in there, and there's this whole different story, and it just makes into this different story where it's not as dark as the original story. It's like, you know what, it doesn't ruin that for me. It doesn't, because it's like, you know what, I may not like those dark stories, but it doesn't change that. It doesn't ruin my favorite movies of those Disney movies for me. So I just wanted to point that out. Yes, that was the dream I had, and I will be doing another Dreamtime video soon, but you'll have to wait and see, because this one I had was very interesting, and I can't wait to tell you. So, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. This is going on way too long. So, that's all for today, and I'll see you at the movies.